Hey guys, welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew, and today I wanted to talk about like the video I did yesterday, the poll I did today on Twitter, and also here on the channel for the Steam Deck or the PSVR 2. Now, a lot of you, I want you guys to know that like I am taking every single thing you guys say about it, like that feedback from everybody. I'm not just counting just whoever like however many get like what however many votes it gets. I'm reading the feedback more than I am more than I'm looking at that, and more than I'm looking at just the numbers. I'm looking more for the feedback in how the community wants these products covered. Uh, that let's let's take a second because I started this channel as a console channel, and I feel like the more I'm doing with PC, like the PC is essential for creating the content, whatever. But I feel like the more I'm playing the games on the PC, I'm getting sidetracked. I'm making videos saying that the value of the PC is, I don't believe the value the value of the consoles outweighs getting a PC anymore. And I mean, for the most part, that's true, but I also use this to create content, guys. So I'm getting a lot more value out of my PC than just video games. So that's something to think about. Definitely something to think about if you're thinking about buying a PC for gaming. Uh, I'm looking at your guys' feedback on this because this is a significant. This is one of the few planned significant purchases that I have for this year. I plan to make those, at least three purchases. If a new Nintendo console comes out, that will be in an immediate buy. I will buy that and cover that immediately. I'm After that stream last night. If I would have had that, if I would have got my taxes then, dude, I would have ended up buying that Steam Deck right then. So I'm glad that I stopped. I'm glad that it wasn't there. I'm glad that I had some time to actually think it over. And yes, I did watch John Linneman's Gran Turismo video and talking about like 244p and all of that stuff. But here's the thing, guys. I can cover all these PC games on my PC. I have a laptop, still that I could fire up if I wanted to see what like they look like, low resolution or something like that. I get that the Steam Deck is a very cool little sidekick toy. Like I get that. But then I also look at like, dude, I barely ever touch my Switch. Like rarely ever. Literally never play that Switch. I've gotten games on it that I've played. I'll play them for a little while, and then I'm like, oh man, I mean, but here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing, and this is where my thinking started going today on this whole thing. When I play my Switch, I plug it into my freaking monitor, and I use my controller. I use my controller to that's how I experience Switch games. Rarely ever do I play around with it handheld. I just I've been thinking about this all day, man. Like that Steam Deck, guys, I will probably rarely ever play that. And it would be like one of those products that I like that I have and I'm like, yeah, it's good, I'm surprised that this works. I'm surprised that that works. It'd be more like having like a Series S companion to my PC. You know what I mean? Like, whoa, man, I'm so glad it works like that. And it's cool. Like, don't get me wrong, guys. Like, it's cool, and I don't want you guys to ever feel like the tech that you buy and you enjoy is not cool. Like, I don't ever want you to feel that way. I've just I've never really been a big handheld guy. The one handheld that I ever had was the original PSP, and I love that thing, man. That thing was great. I didn't really have I wasn't in a position to really have a place of my own at that time to have, like me and my first wife, we got divorced, and I was kind of like, couch surfing a little bit, and you know, doing some stuff, when I was younger, that I just didn't have the ability to own like a full-fledged console and TV and all of that stuff and have somewhere to set it up. And I was I was transitioning. I was transitioning during that time. So the PSP made that possible for me to still be able to play games and still have, some sort of connection to gaming, while I was struggling with that difficult time in my life. So other than that, I mean, like I bought the PS Vita. I rarely played that thing. I played like Golden Abyss on it and maybe a couple of other games and did some streaming from my PS4 to the Vita, when it first came out, when the PS4 first came out. Didn't end up, I mean, I ended up just taking it over to GameStop and trading it in because I wasn't playing it. I wasn't doing anything with that Vita. I bought it and it just sat there most of the time. So it just like my Switch does. I mean, my kids play the Switch. They get a lot of play out of that, but I rarely ever play that thing. So I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, do I buy this Steam Deck and potentially never use it? Or do I buy the PSVR 2 that I know that I can cover and I know that I'll get. Like, here's the thing, guys. I'm thinking about it this way too. Most of the developers out there that are creating these VR games, man, I won't have to pay for games on that thing. I won't have to pay for the games on there. Like at all, really. If there's something that catches my eye and I want to play it, I can request a review code and chances are I'm gonna get that a lot quicker than any of the other stuff because those are the ones that like that they promote all the time. They're like it's one of those things where not only will that $550 investment give me another avenue of things to cover, but I also likely won't have to pay for many games. I mean, like some AAA stuff I'd probably still have to pay for, but I want to I want to cover I want to cover the PSVR too. I want it to be successful. Like I've always wanted like VR to get better. I've always wanted it to be like boom, this like breakout technology to where it's good and where it's worth picking up and having. Because right now I kind of just see it as more of a and this is the one thing that woke me up to this was having the MetaQuest 2. The MetaQuest 2 has provided an experience to where you're like, whoa, man, you can take this with you. You can have fun. It's not just a novel niche thing anymore. It could potentially really become mainstream. And the biggest thing holding PlayStation's VR 2 back is having to have it plugged into the PS5. That there really does kind of limit the scope of what that can do and just how far it can break out. Now, if they would have went with a wireless solution, I think that would have been pretty dang cool. Like that would have been a better. I mean, I could see them still coming out with a wireless option later in the generation or something, but I think that would be pretty cool. Now, I want to cover PSVR 2, and trust me, guys, like I'm not sure about either one of these. Like these are both, in my opinion, niche products that potentially could both, I don't see the Steam Deck failing, but PSVR 2 definitely could fail. Definitely could fail. I want to get that. I want to cover that. I want to experience, like Gran Turismo 7, kind of get a baseline because technically that would be, I mean, it's not like there's not other AAA, racing games that are compatible in VR. Like on, what is it? Dirt Rally 2 looks incredible. And, I'm pretty sure that like some of these other upcoming racing games are going to support PlayStation VR 2. So it would be nice to be able to play those on there, play them on the PC, be able to, do comparisons between MetaQuest 2 and PSVR 2. I feel like there's more exciting content to make for the VR 2 than there is to make for Steam Deck. Like Steam Deck is I'm not saying that it's not worth making content for, but like let's face it, dude. I am still pretty new to PC. I already, it's not that I struggle with the PC that much anymore. It's just I want like I said, dude. I already hooked my game or my Nintendo Switch up to my monitor to play that. So it's one of those things where, man, I just don't know if the Steam Deck is really gonna be. Honestly, guys, if I would have had that money yesterday, I would have bought it right then. And that might change. That might change. But I've been listening to your guys' feedback on this too. I've been listening to that, and a lot of the things that the people are saying about the like the Steam Deck, the PSVR 2, all of that stuff. I need to have the PSVR 2. I need to have the PSVR 2. If I'm going to talk about it, I need to have it. So I need to put my money out there, and trust me, you're going to get a 100% realistic thing about it. Like I'm not going to sit here and, like I watched John from John Linneman's Digital Foundry Gran Turismo video today, and I came away thinking like, why didn't you touch on anything, man? You're going to get that full explanation from me when I play Gran Turismo 7 on there. You're going to know if it's worth it. Like he mentioned stuff like 244p and stuff like that. And like right there, I was just like, oh gosh, I don't know about this, but I want to see this thing. I want to see if it's the generational leap that it should be. He did say that you could turn off foveated eye rendering in there, and that's kind of the way I want to see it. I want to see it without the foveated rendering. I want to see exactly what it is because I do believe that Sony should be allowing people with PSVR 1 hooked up to their PS5 to play Gran Turismo in VR. Like I do believe they should be able to do that. So I want to cover it. There's a lot of people out there that are excited for it, and I do kind of have this. I kind of have this feeling that if you've never experienced VR or you haven't played it as much as I have, then I do have like a wild inclination that people that are new to it are going to really enjoy it. But then I also feel like people like me that have already been exposed to like, Quest 2, PSVR 1 and other VR solutions. I mean, I've played with the Rift and stuff, at Best Buy and before I even got into VR, but once that I want to be I want to be at the front of that technology. I do. I want to be able to incorporate some VR. So I'm probably going to pick up PSVR 2 first and then I will get a Steam Deck eventually. I will get one. I just don't know if I'm going to use it, and that's a lot of money. I know I'll use the VR more for the racing games than I will for cuz that would definitely probably have me playing Gran Turismo 7 a lot more than I do already. But if more VR games come and say they look better on the PlayStation 5, then I don't need to play them on the or if I can get a better quality experience out of the PSVR 2 than I can out of the MetaQuest 2, then that will be, what I'm doing with that. So I do kind of feel like, but see, here's another thing, man. Racing games from third party. This is another thing that's got me thinking, I want people to support the PlayStation VR 2 because not only that, it will make the PC version even better. If they're amping everything up for PSVR 2, then they're going to amp everything up for the PC version. And we need those AAA third party developers out there building, AAA experiences in the racing in the racing genre. So that's pretty cool. That's where I'm going with it. That's what I'm going to base it on. Like I said, the pros on this one probably outweigh the cons. The cons, I might not be. Let's talk about that for a minute. The pros and cons. The pros, or I'll start with the cons first. I might not get the visual experience that I'm expecting. I'm kind of accepting that. The cost is $550. That seems pretty extreme for a PSVR 2 that's locked to the PS5. It's not PC. Like I can't just plug it into my PC and use it right out of the gate. That sucks. Uh, very limited selection of games right now. There are motion tracking control issues that people are talking about. These are all things that I'll be testing out once I receive my headset. But the pros are I get to help try to usher in, like VR and bring it to more people's attention. I'll definitely be getting more views from the PSVR 2 content than I will the Steam Deck content. I probably won't have to pay for a lot of software. I probably will save a ton of money just by getting the software from vendors that want me to cover their content. Uh, let's see. There's it's gonna be here faster, like a couple of days as opposed to like a week or two. Um, and like I'm more excited to play sim racing games in VR than I am to sit here and look at a 7-inch screen and play that. So I mean there's more freaking pros. I mean there's more. The pros definitely outweigh the cons greatly. And that's one thing that I've really been sitting here thinking about. And I've listened to a lot of you guys' feedback. Like I said, I've listened to a lot of the feedback. A lot of the stuff makes sense. The Steam Deck thing is something that like I'm really torn on this decision, guys. Like I'm really torn on this. Like I can only buy one right now, and I'm grateful that I even get the opportunity right now to buy one of them because, like I said, finances are tight. I'm glad that we were able to make sure our bills and all of that are all of that are taken care of. Wife's recovery's coming along pretty good, so chances are she'll be back to work, as soon as possible. So I feel like we can make this happen, but I don't want to. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to push it. I mean, if things get better, I still plan on buying that LG, and I still plan on buying, the Steam Deck sometime this year. Those are the three big things, and then of course, if Nintendo brings out a new console this year, then that will be one of the things I get. But mostly this year, I was pretty much planning on just doing a lot of software. I've already got a PC. I'm not going to be upgrading any of that kind of stuff. So my overall cost of all the bigger stuff is pretty low. So I feel like a couple $1,000 just in like some new hard like a new TV and a couple of other devices to build content for. But I think right now the thing that makes the most sense is PSVR 2 is brand new. I can get in on that. I can start making content for that. I can start building, building our community even bigger with more people so that we can that's the whole thing, man. We get everybody in here and we start learning about all this tech and all this stuff and we start breaking it down and we start, learning from the bottom up to how to have a better time with gaming because that's all that matters. That's all that matters in the end. It doesn't matter about the console wars or any of that nonsense or the negativity or any of that stuff, dude. This is the stuff that matters. These new things, these new products that are either going to sink or swim, these are cool, man. Like this is cool, man. To think about where we're at in life right now with video games. I mean, most of us, my first experience was NES. So you go from NES to these other platforms and like here we are, man. Like we're sitting here freaking out about some of the stuff we freak out about over our video games, man, is insane. And I think a lot of that has to do with just tech in general, man. Like, oh my gosh, I got a 4K TV, but it doesn't look good on my 4K TV, and it's just the tech, just price range and everything like that is kind of puts things a little bit standoffish, so that it takes a little longer. But at the end of the day, man, there's games out there that we love, man. That seriously, dude, we were playing on PS1, PS2, regular Nintendo. There's games, those memories that we have that we're always going to be able to experience, like share with our kids and stuff. And like this is the coolest thing that, you know, um this is the I mean like this is cool, to have that bond with my children. They both like playing video games and they got a dad, that plays video games, and these kids want for nothing when it comes to video games. So that's cool, and I'm glad that that's another thing that I get to share with them. So it does, man. Like my kids love VR. They love VR. So the PSVR 2 is probably going to be something that we can, sit down and play around with together. And I'm excited about it. I am excited about it. So I'm gonna give Sony a chance. I still do think the price is pretty freaking ridiculous for this thing, but whatever. I will pay my PlayStation tax like I always do because freaking that's what a good gamer does, right? I don't know. So, all right, guys. Thanks for watching this. Thanks for being understanding. I really appreciate it. I hope this doesn't anger anybody. Because I kind of go off the cuff and I make a decision in my head and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. But then like 10 minutes later, dude, I change my mind. And that's why I asked the community. That's why I put out the poll. I asked the community. But I feel like this is just right now, this is just the best way forward for the channel. We need to grow. We need to grow this channel so that we can so that I can utilize it better to be able to make more content. Like I need to grow. I want this community to grow. That's the whole reason I started the channel, is to experience gaming and to bring gaming content to other people and just be a real video gaming channel that doesn't. I don't want to have to fall into the rut of chasing like negative stories and stuff all the time. Like I don't want to do that. So this is the best way that I can get something else that will keep that rotation so that I'm not just, beating a dead horse all the time. So this is cool, man. Like I love this. This feels like growth for me. And that's cool. Like every time I add something else to the channel, it just feels like it is growing. And I like that. Whether my subscriber numbers are going up or whether my views or whatever, it still feels like it's growing, and that's cool. So if you like this content, please hit that like, please hit that subscribe button. Definitely hit that subscribe button, man. Like, I really do appreciate it. And I'm always open to feedback. I even read your negative comments, man. I do. I do. And I do look at those and see if there's some way that I can change things or make things better so that you don't feel that way about me, because yeah, dude, I'm not a filthy casual fanboy. I'm just a gamer. So we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.